What's buzzing in NRCCS? This spring, our school became the home to 20,000 Italian honeybees. Our goal is to spread awareness for the honeybees population. Bees are an integral piece of our ecosystem, and their species are struggling to survive.
Albert Einstein is often credited with saying, if the bees disappeared from the surface of the earth, man would have no more than 4 years to live. While there is some question of whether or not he actually said those words, the scenario is plausible. No bees, no humans. Our classmates, Novella and Mia and Kenzie, are going to illustrate more in depth on how bees benefit our ecosystem.
Hi, my name is Mia and welcome to Bee Benefits. There are many benefits to bees, like how they spread pollen from plant to plant. This helps the plants reproduce. Without pollination, they would die.
Bees are very important to the survival of humans and basically everything on the planet. See, bees pollinate all food of humans, and pollination is what makes plants grow and live. So no bees, no plants, no food. If the bees die, it leads to no food and a collapsed world.
Bees are the only insect that produces food consumed by humans. Our food is one of the most important things humans need. Plants produce air by photosynthesis, which is how humans breathe. The plants consume the carbon dioxide that the humans breathe out, and we consume the oxygen the plants produce. It is a constant cycle. We need the food, we need the air, and bees play a part in it all. Sugars, glucose, fructose, and bee spit. Put that together and you've got a liquid that humans eat on almost everything. Without the bees' honey, the food industry would lose a healthy alternative to refined sugar. Have you ever seen how many shelves are filled with honey in a store? Think about what it would be like if that was gone. Bees make delicious honey that is used in many of our food products.
Because bees are what help plants live, bees have a huge role in the food industry. Bees are what allow plants to grow, and food that is well pollinated tastes better and grows better. Some farmers, such as almond farmers, will rent bee farmers' beehives in the summer and move the bees to their farms so that they will have better crops.
Honey, like Kinsey said, is used in many of the everyday consumptions and is incredibly healthy as well. Honey has a low pH level. This works to pull the moisture from the bacteria, causing the bacteria to get dehydrated and die off. Honey is a very underestimated and underrated product, and it is only made by our very own honeybees.
Now here's Mia to explain CCD.
On November 12, 2006, Dave Hackenberg of Hackenberg Apiaries began inspecting some of his hives and were shocked to find them empty. 400 hives were found void of bees. In his long distinguished career of keeping bees, he had never experienced devastation to this degree. He'd seen bees die of starvation and bacterial infections. However, in these cases, there were always bee bodies left as evidence. In this instant, the bees mysteriously vanished. Apiaries began suffering from a strange new ailment. Eventually, the mass disappearance of bees became known as colony collapse disorder, or CCD for short. Scientists joined forces with beekeepers and began investigating possible theories that would explain the tragedy afflicting the honeybee colonies. Scientists began infecting existing bee pests, possible and deadly bee germs, and pesticides as possible causes for CCD. Their goal was to figure out what was killing the bees and to stop it. After much research, scientists have no real answers to their questions. However, they know whatever is causing CCD was adversely affecting their health. The mystery is unsolved. However, as stewards of the environment, it is up to us to do our part.
Okay. We are going to talk about pollinator gardens. Pollinator gardens are important because if there are no other sources of nectar around, pollinating animals will depend on the flowers from our gardens. One reason our garden is a viable source for nectar is because the farmers in our area turned all of their land into farmland. Therefore, few flowers can survive for long. What I'm trying to say is that their crops choice is not sustaining bees very well, and our gardens will.
All the flowers in our garden are going to benefit the bees. We selected the flowers because of our local grow zone, so they can thrive. Bees' numbers have been dropping lower and lower each year. It's important to save them or the whole world will come crashing down. So the best way to help is by planting pollinating gardens or nectar-giving flowers in our gardens, in your gardens. So the bees will have more food and have a better chance of survival.
So the more people that start pollinator gardens, the closer we can get to saving the bees from total annihilation. So now, if we have more flowers and more gardens, more bees will start appearing in this area. If it helps keep the plants and animals in our area healthy. our gardens will be completely pesticide-free.
You can do this by putting an electric fence around your bees to keep them safe from bears.
If you want to get honey or honeycomb, you will also want to buy supplies to collect and process your honey.
For beekeeping, you will need a beehive frames and foundations, a smoker, a hive tool, and veil and gloves.
As for processing honey, you will need honey uncapping knife, honey strainer, a good beekeeping suit, a bee brush, double uncapping tank, double uncapping fork, and a honey bottling bucket.
Bees play a very important role in the ecosystem. Bees are able to pollinate the food that we eat every day.
In the process of beekeeping, you are able to sustain pollination of flowering plant life.
There are many different types of bees, such as the honeybee, bumblebee, stingless bee, and many, many more species.
Those are only some of the bees that you can beekeep, but honeybees are the most common and preferred. They produce a good amount of honey and honeycomb.
Bees are dying off for many reasons. When you beekeep, you can help the population grow and help the earth. If you wanna, it's important that you protect these little striped friends.
Next up is Mason, Justin, and Adrian talking about gardening.
Pesticides are substances used for destroying insects or other organisms harmful to cultivated animals or plants. At first glance, pesticides seem like a miracle fix for the pests that devastate crops.
However, on closer inspection, bee losses almost parallel the whole pesticides revolution. Scientists and as well as many beekeepers believe that pesticides do have a role in CCD, but cannot attribute their devastation because healthy hives are also contaminated with pesticides residue.
In her groundbreaking book, Silent Spring, Dr. Rachel Carson warned the use of pesticides will determine effects on the environment. Pests, after a time, will evolve and industries will create stronger and possibly more toxic pesticides to replace the original ones.
Oh, even though the studies are, I can't see it, inconclusive, using pesticides sparingly are the best interests of the bees. You can help by not using pesticides.
Removing honeybees from the food chain would break havoc to our ecosystem. NRCCS is hosting bees with hopes that it will improve the ecosystem and, of course, get us some honey. Sweet, man!